Good day, viewers. I am creating these videos to help teachers of maths support their learners in making sense of mathematical concepts and their associated procedures and processes. And today I thought I'd take a look at straight line graphs and how we can explore sort of the relationships between straight line graphs, gradients, intercepts, parallel, perpendicular, well, not so much perpendicular for this one, mainly parallel, and things like that. And I've got a couple of virtual manipulatives up to help me with this. And the first one I've got up is a geoboard. And what you can see I've done here is I've already sort of set up an axis using two of my elastic bands on this geoboard. And so what I can do now is say, right, well, let's put in a line. Let's put in a relatively simple line to begin with. Something like this. And I can look at things like, what coordinates is that going through, assuming each of these squares or each of these sort of pegs on the board are one apart. So I can see that's going through, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, -1, -1, -3, -3, whatever this one is up here, maybe 10 or 11 or 12 or something like that. I don't know. I'm not going to be bothered to count it now. And I can look at that and say, well, I've got these points. I've got points like 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, etc. And I can see that what's happening here is that the horizontal number and the vertical number are always the same. And so that gives me a relationship between the vertical and the horizontal, or the horizontal and the vertical, that can be expressed as those two are always the same. The y is always the same as the x. And, clearly I could put other lines on there, something like as simple as this, and I'm sure you can see where I'm going with something like this. And, I could be saying to kids stuff like, build me a line or create me a line where every time you go across one, you go up 2. And then we can look at the coordinates for that and get to the line y equals 2x, and we can start to create that link between gradient and the coefficient of x, which I could have done back here, of course, but it's it's that hidden 1 potentially. But I can say, what do we notice about this line? Every time we go across one, we go up 1. But with this one, every time we go across one, we go up 2. And then I could even potentially start putting in lines like this, which will do a very similar sort of thing. I want to make sure I get that right. That looks about right. There we are. Yeah, and so we could say, we've got the same sort of idea here. And what do we notice about the pink line compared to the green line? What's different? What's the same? What about the coordinates this time? Well, every time I step across one, I step up 2. So that's the same, but now it goes through 3, and I can create that link, or I can say, well, this was 1, 2, 2, 4, 3, 6. So every time this was double that, and this time it's still kind of like that, but it's all been shifted up 3. So y equals 2x plus 3. So that's potentially one way we can look at it. Another way we can look at it is using something like a pegboard, but using it for coordinates. And you can see I've set up my same axis here. So again, I could be doing very similar things. I could be popping pegs in and asking pupils, what are the coordinates of these pegs that I'm popping in? And again, we could get to this very similar, y equals x, or I could pop in my y equals, oh, not that one. My y equals 2x. And what's really nice about this, if I turn that one off for a minute, is I can actually then start shifting the axis about and saying, okay, well, what's happening here now? How is that changing? What's changing? What's staying the same as I go from here to there, or to there, Or I could start shifting this axis about. What's changing, what's staying the same. And again, we can get a lot of sort of links in there to the idea of parallel lines and the how the gradient stays the same but the intercept changes. And I mean, we can even take that potentially as far as transformations of graphs, and when I move these axes, what's changing, how is that affecting the equation of the graph. I mean, I might not want to use a linear graph for that. I might set my points up in the shape of a quadratic or a cubic or a general f of x, and look at moving these axes and how that transforms the equation, and link that to transformation of graphs. So that's just a very short video on some potential ways that you might sort of begin to explore properties of straight line graphs with your learners using physical manipulative geoboard, or potentially the virtual manipulative as well, and using those visuals. As always, I'd like to say a big thank you to mathsbot.com and its creator, Jonathan Hall, for this fantastic website that I am able to use to bring these sort of videos to you. And if you haven't been onto mathsbot.com yet, then again, I say this every video, but it's well worth a good look at this. There's not only the virtual manipulatives, which I am using to bring you these videos, and the number of virtual manipulatives you can see there, but there's also all sorts of other lovely things, puzzles, starter activities, question generators, specific GCSE resources, all sorts of lovely things there that may well be helpful for you in your teaching of mathematics. And as always, if you are interested in looking at visuals and manipulatives to support teaching of maths, then do please consider checking out my website. My website is visiblemaths.co.uk, and amongst the many things you'll find on here, you will find a link to my book, Visible Maths. And you'll find a link to the publisher's website there. The publisher is Crown House Publishing. And if you click on that link, you can find the book. You can take a look inside at some of the sample pages that exist there, some of the manipulatives and visuals that are highlighted on that. And if you feel like that would be a useful addition to your teaching and learning library, either your personal one or your school one, then you can, of course, place an order. I will be creating these videos throughout lockdown and potentially beyond. So if there is a particular process or procedure or concept that you feel like you would want to see somebody explore using manipulatives or visuals, then please do get in touch, and I will happily try and get round to creating that for you. Thank you very much for your kind attention today.